Well, welcome to another edition of the Business Spotlight interview series. And today I'd like to welcome Allan Endresz from Zucoins. So welcome, Allan.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, Phil. Yeah, very intrigued and interested to see where this leads to, but it's a pleasure.
Yeah, and likewise, it looks like you have a very interesting business in Zucoins. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is and what you do and where you're located?
Yeah, well, firstly, based in Albury-Wodonga. So it's a small regional centre, but been there probably 50 odd years now, Phil.
Okay. Yep.
Love it, love the region, travelled the world. So always come back home and it's more my family are there, the kids and everybody.
Yes.
Grandkids as well. Zucoins is sort of something that hasn't come just out of the blue. It's been probably a 30-year journey, really, through a whole lot of ups and downs. And my original background was accounting, originally Coopers and Lybrand.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoy numbers and statistics and the maths of it all, but the boring part got to me. So in the 80s, got involved with the share market and in business partnership with a lawyer called Peter Kane, and we built up a firm called David Samuel, which is a mergers and acquisitions and takeovers.
Okay. Yep. Involved
in that space, and then that sort of took us into a journey. Litigation is one of my interesting side hobbies, Phil. So I in a funny sort of way, quite enjoy that because there's a lot of history and research that goes into that, and statistically, funnily enough, you got a 50-50 chance of winning or losing. So that's probably one of the better stats.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
And then we got involved with building out a major e-commerce platform, which was a payment system that evolved in terms of sort of competing with the Western Union versus PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very frustrated the way in which transfer of value moves around the world and how hard it was, and all the friction points there, and then got excited in 2009 with Bitcoin. Thought that was going to be the solution, and bought a company called Splitlock, which is quite a revolutionary product in itself. It fragments data, so instead of trying to protect data using the normal encryption that we see today, what it does is it breaks it up into millions of bits.
Mm-hmm.
And it leaves fragments, so you can't hack anything. They're all stored different sectors around the world,
right? In
different servers. And from there, met a young genius in Albury-Wodonga, of all places, called Robert Novak, who built that project. And the exciting thing is, we said we could solve the Bitcoin problems and create a whole new platform called Split Chain, which is the evolution of Zucoins today. So
right,
that's the journey there.
Yeah. So tell me, in terms of the Zucoin side and the Split Chain side of things, what prompted that, and how did you actually get into it?
Look, at that time, I sort of had an overlap of issues. We'd built up pretty big businesses through the 90s. Had a taste of a lot of wealth, to be honest.
Yes.
Couple of $100 million in assets and things, and you do get a bit cocky. You become infallible, and the internet boom back then, Phil, was pretty exciting. Government was throwing money, as they do today, at different projects. They get these great ideas and decide that they want to lift up a sector. But the good news is we learnt the lessons. We had massive mining projects, gold, platinum, all that sort of stuff, oil and gas. I used to own a basketball team at that stage, and pretty well lost a lot. Sorry for that. Pretty well lost a lot, and started from ground up. And that led me to doing a lot of work on asset protection, trust structures.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to get burnt twice. I promote heavily people not to be fearful of bankruptcies, and asset protection at the start. Some of my greatest heroes, Walt Disney, Henry Ford, even the great Chief Justice of the High Court, Sir Garfield Barwick, were all bankrupts. And I think that's a business lesson that people need to at least protect yourself at the beginning, not do what we did earlier.
Yes. And look, that is just so true in business. Perseverance, persistence, never give up. Keep the end goal in mind. Change the plans, but don't change the goal.
Yeah, I sort of tell people it's a bit like, you know, putting in a search for a place you want to visit using Google. You know, at the end of the day, there's always the destination that can be reached. There may be a couple of paths that you take different.
Yep.
But, and don't worry about the bumpy roads and the rocks and things, because, you know, if you keep going, there's always an outcome. But at the end of the day, I didn't realize how powerful the Alligator Blood name would resonate beyond business though, Phil. We've got 280,000 fans around the world. This horse came back from major spinal injury that was told he would never race again. One Group 1s. And then the message that comes out is extraordinary, because it's my wife recently passed away after fighting cancer for 2.5 years. A lot of pain, and it was a dreadful.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, that's all right, Phil. But she gave us resonated a message that said never give up and keep going, no matter what. And through that message, we've had a lot of people that have been in depression, bad sickness and health, financial issues. We had 6 people that wanted to commit suicide that are now resonating with that message, that there is something around the corner. You know, cherish every moment, and same in your business practices. There's always an exciting another chapter to evolve, you know, the next day.
I look at so true, Alan, and I couldn't agree more on that. And you know, that's one of the things that, you know, even through my own experiences in business, but then working with a lot of other business owners, this is something that you see all the time. And you know, it just reminds me of a comment that back in my corporate life, one of my managers said to me, you're really not a manager or in the corporate world until you've made $1 million mistake.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. I just hope that people go back through, you know, we actively promote, you know, trust structures and things that give you a little bit of an extra chance, in the expectation that, you know, you may go broke, but it's not a bad thing. And I learned that through my accounting days. You know, you see so many small business owners that put up their houses and mortgages and go into a coffee shop and, you know, have high expectations, and then no one sort of coaches them through that it's not going to be easy. You know, there's a greater failure rate that happens, but failure can breed success, and just plan for it to, you know, make it happen and get into it. That's the big.
I'm curious, Alan, how did you actually get into this type of technology? What did you have to go through to actually learn, I guess, not only how it works, but what its potential is?
Yeah, look, it started, which is still coming to fruition, built on the platform. When we had takeovers and companies in the late 80s, I lost a lot of money in the 87 crash. So, you know, you're always on the guard for the next big crash, and the younger ones sort of miss that cycle. So they get caught every time, you know, there's a 25 gap. But the greatest thing that happened there was that the asset values of those entities were overvalued in terms of the reflection of the share prices. And that led me to look at things like accumulating funds under management, if you like, through products like British premium bonds. I don't know whether you've heard of them.
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, so British premium bonds has been around since the year 1694. So we're not geniuses here. You know, they forget that the older people had better ideas than us. But instead of buying a lotto ticket, as you would see, you know, $100 million lotto ticket and this sort of stuff, I realised that the governments could put in play that for every £10 you leave on deposit with, in this instance, the British government, that entitles you to one entry in a lottery, as long as you leave that 10 quid with the government.
Right.
Now, there's over $300 billion in that product now, and they're banking 8 or 9 billion a month as a result of that, because people say, well, if I don't lose my money, I've still got the right to the lottery draw.
Right.
I introduced that product in 1989, and we have world rights outside of England to that. That product is finally coming to fruition now, because it can be given under the Zucoins. Zucoins is not just about a crypto, it's about creating an identifier that's irreversible, that can track digital assets and products, not just the coin. And that means we can guarantee with certainty the nature of this lottery product finally, to globalise it. So you've
Yes.
got a lot of wallets and people, they can be participants in this particular lottery. But the problem with that was that I just couldn't get a handle on instant transfer of value at the time using the banking systems and the legacy systems. You can't have massive fees and charges on foreign exchange. You can't have credit cards that are reversed and there's risks, frauds. You can't have a blockchain like Bitcoin that can take 3 hours to process, and fees. That's what inspired us to look at the technology we already had to overcome those issues that can be that deliverable. We're at the coalface of this whole new evolution that's coming in the internet. It's exciting stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Anything that can reduce the amount of scamming that's going on at the moment. I mean, I'm literally getting text messages, emails every day now, somebody wanting to, scam me. It's almost getting out of control.
Well, that's part of the reason that if you look at we have a thing with our Zucoin called It's Zoo Time that I run, and also all my skeletons are online to view. If you don't like the bankruptcy issues, and that's a tactical maneuver for me in terms of, and that's been well documented. If you don't like that and you don't like the background, well, the good news is you don't have to deal with me. So, the transparency is there, and it's all about the end game. You've just got to stay focused, and you just got to take the great Robert Holmes of Court once said, I'm not sure if you're aware of who that is, but he was the great takeover artist in the late 80s with BHP. And he always said that there's no such thing as a liability on a balance sheet, only an opportunity. And that resonates all the time with me,
Yes.
So, and the good thing I love about the coins is that the platform itself gives an amazing insight to people to build on it and then make a lot of money. Nothing to do with us. But Robert has built the nodes, for example, in PHP script. He's built the wallets in JavaScript, which gives about 95% of the world's developers access into this space now. Unlike Ethereum, where you've got to know Solidity language or Rust, etc. Solana. There's three exciting areas for us. There's the connection that allows merchants to tap into it with relative ease to accept coins, which we're not seeing that in the Bitcoin space. It hasn't evolved that you walk down the road and buy a cup of coffee. You'll never buy a cup of coffee with a Bitcoin. You can't afford the $25 in fees.
Right.
But
yes.
We've got infinite fractions. If our Zucoins were trading at $100,000 a coin, you can still have a fraction of that would, allow you to do a 10-cent or 1-cent transaction, or build what we call UDAs, NFTs on it with absolute certainty.
What would be the best advice that you could give somebody that was considering going into business themselves?
Look, I think you've got to press both your accountants and lawyers a bit harder as to the vision you want at the end game and minimize that risk, because the accountant, opens up the door and says, okay, we're starting business. And the first thing he looks at is a trust with a company structure. Then that puts you into another world of problems down the road. The moment you sign off as a director of a company, and accountants are very much historically based. They're not pushing you too far forward as to where that vision leads. And you do need guys that come in and can coach you through that. So you need to press harder on that. And same with the lawyers. They'll rack up the fees when in fact there's a lot of structures out there. One of the best structures in Australia is the humble limited partnership structure in each of the respective states. You can set that up with as an individual as trustee. Tax becomes secondary because your expectations are that you'll probably make more losses in the first few years than worrying about the tax bill. And I say with our crypto, to our buyers of crypto, of Zucoin, the least problem you've got is worrying about your tax at this stage. It's a commodity, it's CGT. When the pricing comes in, pay the 24 cents in the dollar. My advice is, we give free access to trust deeds and things. I'm not here to make money out of that. I'm here to at least give you, something to rely upon in the expectation, and never fear the failure. Never ever fear the failure. as I said, I love Walt Disney because he, when he went bankrupt, and he runs on that mantra that says, he wants to dream, believe, dare, and do. And each one is a stepping stone to the next. And if you worry about the failures, well, you won't get to the next step. So
yeah.
But
so just on that note, then you've quoted Walt Disney and a few other entrepreneurs that had failed in the past. Have you got any favourite sayings or quotes that really helps keep you focused on a day-to-day basis?
Look, I think coincidentally, the greatest message that I now promote is through the on-track performance of the horse, because the term alligator blood, if you've got alligator blood, then you really are showing how resilient, tenacious, and never give up. I mean,
yes,
and that transpires across not just business, but as I said earlier, people fighting the blues, people in a depressed state, health. You've got to just never give up. And we push the message now. Our own saying is, just get some alligator blood, put the cap on, and give yourself a bit of inspiration to take it to that next level. Because there is another day that rises. There's another sun that comes up, and I get excited about waking up in the morning because I've got through another. I'm here to go again. And
look, every day is a bonus to everyone.
100%, Phil. Every second, really. And yeah. So from the business perspective, my son is a great learner of that. And normally they think that you and I are too old, Phil, and we, that they know everything. But just a little snippet of something that we've learned.
What would be one last piece of advice that you could give anybody that is watching this series?
Just stay. If you have that dream, as Walt said, then embrace it, because don't listen to the negative chatter around you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need to be told by others that you can't, take that dream and dare to take that dream on, what Walt says, through your belief of that, because your beliefs will take you through that, and then just do it. Now, there's nothing untoward in the so-called the failure. The failure is not taking it on, and that's where the visions come true. Believe in yourself. Do your own research as well. That's important.
Yes. And
do listen to some people that have these experiences, just to glean a little bit of insight, and then away you go. So yeah, just keep the path, believe in yourself, and build a team around you is important, that want to take on that ride with you, because we have an amazing team, and there's a younger generation that now can say, why can't we get 100 million people with wallets, for example? And yes. There's no reason. There's no, we could have 1 billion people in the world's first greatest downloaded wallets in crypto history. I mean, the designs we've done, for example, Dogecoin took 9 years to get 4.4 million wallets, and we want that in a matter of weeks. So,
right.
But the young ones, if they get a handle on it and they get comfortable and they know that you can steer the ship, then the team around you will follow. There's no question of that.
Yeah. Look, absolutely great advice, Allan, and thank you so much today for sharing what your journey has been through business. I think that you're a great example that, through the peaks and the troughs, the positives and the negatives, that, when you do have that belief and that dream, and that you dare to go after it, that you will come out on top in the end. So congratulations, well done. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. Anytime at all.
Bye now.
Cheers, Phil. Bye.